Once again, some of you are still trying to negotiate with biology. You want romance to be fair, you want attraction to be polite, you want the rules to bend because you're tired or lonely or angry. They won't. The enemy today isn't women. It isn't men. It's a delusion. It's the fantasy that human desire is a spreadsheet you can rewrite with speeches, politics, or guilt. Here's the rule. Men and women don't select for the same things, and they never have. Men worship beauty because it signals health. Women respect status because it signals resources, different currencies, same market. And if you spend your life complaining about the exchange rate, you don't become moral. You become powerless. Tonight, your mission is simple. Stop arguing with reality. Use it. Train with it. Build leverage inside it. And then choose with clear eyes, because desire can make a fool out of a disciplined man if he forgets the long game. Welcome back. I appreciate you for continuing to tune into the videos. Make sure you hit that like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. All right, let's get into it. Listen closely to what people actually praise. You rarely hear a woman melt over a man's clear skin the way men do over a woman's. You rarely hear a man worship a woman's career the way women can admire a man's position, his momentum, his status. That isn't a social conspiracy. It's selection pressure, wearing modern clothes. Men scan for visible signals: symmetry, skin, hair, body. A fast, ancient checklist that asks one brutal question: is she healthy enough to carry life forward? Women scan for trajectory, competence, rank, access. A different checklist that asks an equally brutal question: will he keep me safe, stable, and supplied when the world turns hostile? You can pretend this isn't happening, but the rooms you enter will still be governed by it. The dates you go on will still be governed by it. Your wins and losses will still be governed by it. The mission is not to approve. The mission is to understand. Because the man who sees the board clearly stops taking losses personally. He stops spiraling. He starts positioning. Men love to rage about hypergamy. Women love to rage about lookism. It's the same engine, expressed through a different design. Hypergamy is a woman's impulse to secure the best available deal in status and resources. Beauty fixation is a man's impulse to secure the best available deal in fertility and health. Both are ruthless. Both are selective. Both can be cruel to the people who don't measure up. And neither one disappears because you dislike it. This is where weak minds rot. They mistake nature for injustice, then build an identity around complaint. Complaining is comfort. It lets you feel right while staying ineffective. A smarter man reads it like the weather. You don't insult winter. You dress for it. You drive differently. You plan. So stop acting shocked that women notice rank. Stop acting shocked that men notice waistlines. These are not moral arguments. These are incentives. And incentives don't care about your feelings. You live in a world of medicine, law, and electricity. Your instincts were built in a world of blood, childbirth risk, hunger, and tribal violence. That gap creates confusion. A man's attraction to clear skin, long hair, and certain body proportions isn't poetry, it's probability. For most of human history, those cues were shortcuts to reproductive success. Long hair implied sustained health. Clear skin implied low infection load. Certain body shapes implied survivability in childbirth and child-rearing. And a woman's attraction to status isn't greed in the cartoon sense, it's risk management. Human children are costly. They don't stand up and run within minutes like a foal. They require years of protection, food, shelter, and attention. In ancestral conditions, a woman who chose a man with more resources and higher rank increased the odds her children would live. That wiring doesn't evaporate because someone posts a slogan. You're not dirty for having instincts. But you are dangerous to yourself if you let instincts drive without supervision. That's the distinction amateurs miss. You can accept nature without becoming its slave. Complaining about hypergamy is like complaining about gravity. It reveals something about you, and it's not flattering. You want a different world because you haven't built enough value in this one. Here's the rule. If you know women respond to status, then build status. If you know men respond to beauty, then understand what beauty buys you and what it costs you. Most men beg for fairness. The dangerous man builds leverage. Leverage is money. Leverage is competence. Leverage is physique. Leverage is social proof. Leverage is emotional control. You don't win this game by being nice. You win by becoming undeniable. And once you become undeniable, something changes inside you. You stop resenting the preferences of others because you're no longer disqualified by them. Your objective isn't to shame women for selecting. Your objective is to become the kind of man selection rewards, not for ego, for outcomes. A quiet tragedy happens every day. A man wants a woman he's deeply attracted to, but he settles for what he thinks he can get. Then he calls it maturity. He calls it realism. He calls it being a good person. It's none of those. It's fear dressed in manners. If you want beauty, admit it. If you want a woman who looks healthy, moves well, and carries herself like life is in her blood, then stop pretending that desire makes you shallow. Desire makes you human. The problem isn't wanting. The problem is being weak enough to let wanting control your decisions. So here's the standard. Don't lie to yourself about what you want. Don't settle out of panic. And don't complain when settling turns into resentment 6 months later. Aim high. Then do the work required to deserve what you aim at. Because if you can't approach the woman you actually want, the issue isn't her. The issue is your readiness. Do you want access to high-caliber women? Then become the kind of man high-caliber women don't have to convince themselves to choose. This is where the conversation gets simple, and simplicity offends people who want loopholes. Get stronger, not a little healthier. Stronger. Make money, not enough to get by. Enough to create options. Build competence that other men can't fake. A craft, a business, a role that makes people rely on you, and learn to carry yourself like you belong wherever you stand. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is control. It's the calm certainty of a man whose life is organized. When women are hypergamous, they're not just selecting resources, they're selecting the man who seems most capable of steering reality. So be that man, not as a costume, as a construction project. Some men refuse to build wealth because they're haunted by one fear. What if she takes it? That fear has an answer. It's called competence. If you're intelligent enough to create value, you're intelligent enough to protect it. The world is full of instruments, legal structures, agreements, jurisdictions, accountants, lawyers, timing, discretion. A man who walks into commitment without planning is the same man who drives into a storm without checking the road. He doesn't get to call it bad luck. He calls it betrayal because it feels cleaner than admitting negligence. So here's the standard. Before you bind your life to another person, know the rules of your country, your assets, and your risk. Don't be naive. Don't be theatrical. Be precise. Power without protection is charity, and charity is not a mating strategy. It's a donation. At the end of the road, status doesn't sit by your bedside. Money doesn't hold your hand. A life built only on pleasure ends the same way every time. Quiet, sterile, and irrelevant. You don't need to romanticize family to understand the geometry of meaning. Legacy is one of the oldest antidotes to death anxiety ever invented because it's not an idea. It's blood. It's continuity. It's my responsibility. Children don't make weak men happy. They expose weak men. But for a man with structure, children can become a purpose that doesn't evaporate when moods change. So if you want a full life, stop pretending you can replace legacy with entertainment. Build a life worth inheriting. Then consider who you're choosing to build it with. Because this is the final warning of part 1. Beauty can open the door, but it doesn't guarantee peace inside the house. That's the foundation. But knowing the principle isn't enough, in part 2, we go to war with influence. We talk about seduction, the quiet mechanics, the ethical edge, and the danger of becoming a prisoner of your own mask. Once again, I appreciate you for sticking to the end. Make sure you hit that like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. I'll catch you on the next one.